I forgot to record. Hey, you shouldn't take lessons from Vyrn. She has a lot of learning to do. Oh, so she's not really a MILF, is it? Is she? Because she has no kids. I believe in the description they said she was like a primal beast reincarnate or something. So, and I guess now I'm just being told. I think she mentioned it before. She traveled with Grand's dad. So I wonder how does she sees him as like as her best friend's son, or like, no, it's probably not like an adopted son, because I feel like they're more like peers, or like crewmates. Oh, I wonder when did she join the crew? Because like I said, I did tutorial and I didn't even play that much. I made it up to where Rackham, where we met him and the ship thing. Other than that, I don't know anything else. So I wonder, when did she join the crew? Was it years later down the journey? Because it seems like a primal beast incarnate joining the party will be super overpowered. Well, I guess she's pretty nerfed because she's what's it, carnate? No. Damn, what's the word? Hold up. What's the word? It maybe is reincarnate. I don't know. I feel like it was a different word. Maybe I'm just tripping. But anyways, yo, welcome back to some Granblue Fantasy Relink as we continue our journey. As I said, my god damn it, my intro 5 minutes ago, but I wasn't recording, and I gotta remember to click record. Like, damn it. Oh man, what's with that JoJo pose? Jesus, how strong is Grand's dad? Did all prime Astro think like that? I don't know. I kind of feel like there could have been some that didn't think like that. I wonder what was our old moniker then. God damn. Ran with that Joe with that aura farming pose. You know, the more they talk about ships and crew, the more I think about One Piece. I wonder what's the lore for recruiting people or the gacha. Is it canon or not canon? Because in Fate Grand Order, you more or less summon majority of the servants. Well, I believe the lore is that was it the lore that the servants don't come with you during the first half of the game, right? And that the servants you're summoning are the shadow servants or the shadow of the servants, and the memories retaining them like seeps into the ones that are in Chalia, while the Chalia servants are not the same as the shadow ones, right? Because when you go, you don't necessarily bring them into the later half or the remnants. I forgot what it's called. The 4 remnants part, the 1.5, and then the 2, where you start bringing them with you. And then as majority, you have majority of the servants. but because of how things are, you can't. All of them are not manifested in their physical form. So, like, I believe you can only manifest like I forgot 5 or 7 servants at a time in Chaldea, and the rest are in their. I forgot what's it called. Their cube. It's not. No, I'm not thinking Pokemon. Whatever form thing where they're not there. They're not like incorporeal. They're just. It's like Pokeball where they're in where they're all in their Pokeball thing, and Pokemon where they're all in their Pokeballs. I forgot what is it for Fate. But yeah, so like because you can only manifest 7 at a time due to the power of the what is it? There's the race shift system or the Chaldia energy, whatever, plus the master. Yeah. I'm not sure if that changed, but they will rotate each servant's like, oh, okay, here's the next 7. So yeah. So I wonder how that's like the canon lore for Fate Grand. I could be wrong on some of the stuff, but I think that's kind of like what it is. I'm not sure on anything uh past the earlier chapter of .2, the Lost Belts. So it could be different now, for all I know. Oh, okay. I thought we were a lot further. What is it, Grand Stat again? Oh, wonder did he ever met back up with him? Is that him with the dual sword? Oh wait, best friend. I thought Lancey was a lot older. Nah, just be a friend. Just be there for him. Yeah, that's right. What, bro? I was about to say. Then you say you guys wanted to meet at the port. I mean, then the kingdom shouldn't be that far away, right? How much of a change was from a 1 day, a few hour trip? One for all. Oh my god. You locked the court. Oh, they sparring? No, this is a different person. Because Lancey's handle sword thing, it looks like it has crystals. Maybe. Okay, so I was right. I was like, that sword handle doesn't look like it's the same. Okay, never mind. Maybe that is him in the picture. How did you get here, though? It's for the kids. All right, so he's good with kids. All right, that's fine. Yeah, we're fine. All right, so I'm hoping there's not another defending mission and it's just a fine, like Ugins. Oh, and it's solo. Man, Vane is such a good guy. Although he's pretty sensitive though. No, I thought he'll say something like, "Oh, that's not a good spot." How about here? It's a sound. Oh, it's probably the skill cooldown. All right. Really? Nothing here? What? All right, so would this be one? No? Oh no, I'm on the right track. It's going down in order. This is a good one? What? Bruh, it's not recording the audio. What the hell? Oh, come on. I recorded the last 2 episodes and there was no volume. I didn't even notice. Fuck. God, this sucks. I guess I'll just upload the 3 episodes in one time for 1 week. Because there's no audio, so... I must as well just... Maybe I just upload 2 for that one. Is that my mistake? Man, that sucks. It shows volume now. I guess it's because when I mute the game in my settings, because when I mute, I go to the Windows settings and I just mute the Granblue exe for it. No, I don't mute this game because this game is quiet. I mute Destiny 2 because Destiny 2 sounds continues throughout, even if it's not like on main window. So I guess I accidentally muted my OBS. Now, if I go to edit and it shows it didn't pick up my vocals, then I'm just gonna put all these 3 videos together in one video and then just upload it like that. Because there's no point in me separating those if I have no like take or no commentary, because the point of this, me playing or making my YouTube, is for me to have fun, explain my thought process. That way you guys can be like, oh no, that's not how I took it how as his friends is just trying to suppress him, because they're trying to hold him back from doing anything dangerous, when I took it as something else as, oh man, right now Zavala feels like he's at the deep end, you know? So that's how I took it. But yeah. So hopefully it at least pick up my vocals. If it didn't, goddamn, that sucks.
And judging from all the frolicking going on, the Tykes agreed. Captain Skip pulled out a handmade flag.
And I was saying Vane is such a good guy, and there was some great dialogue, great voice acting. God damn it.
This land is now the hideout of the Blue Sky Knights!
And sure, the thought, technically Knights don't have hideouts, flashed into my mind, but you can't expect kids to know that. Actually, you know what? These Tykes might be onto something. Maybe I should ask Lancey for our own secret base later. Anyway, for the time being, I was in what had to be one of the top 10 hideouts in all the skies. I found a nice plush patch of moss and plopped down. It was a good day.
Hey, slot obtained. I guess I might as well push the finish, even though I fucked up there. That'll at least be one saving grace in this video. Oh, that's it for him.
What do you think?
Last one. And we can go all the way to here. So all the way to episode 3.
Once upon a time,
Oh, he's not a samurai, he's a fencer. It kind of looks like he has samurai garb though.
Famed for his two-sword style. He became a legend after fighting over 10,000 battles. And the mere sound of his name struck fear into the hearts of his enemies. Whenever he appeared in town, ne'er-do-wells were said to scramble away like spiders fleeing the light. Prospective fighters began to seek out the swordsman, and thus he gained quite the following of disciples. Amongst them, some were so strong they could crush warships with a single strike. One could do worse when choosing students of the martial arts. So the master abandoned the battlefield for the mountains, where he could train his beloved disciples in peace.
They're all gonna die,
There
aren't
was
they?
one disciple who quickly stood leagues above the rest. It took her only a matter of days to master the most complicated techniques. She grew at an astonishing rate into one of the most powerful fighters the Master had ever seen. But more impressive than her wits or her aptitude was the strength of her conviction. Every day the top disciple begged for harder training, and the Master was willing to reward her passion with the very depths of his knowledge. And that's why... Why? Oh, skies help me. That's why when the Master found out his top disciple had betrayed him, he was filled with anguish. She went rogue, forcing some of the other disciples to do her bidding. Eventually, the Master caught up with her, and they fought a deadly battle. When the dust settled, the top disciple's sword arm hung limp and unusable. It was a bittersweet victory, as the Master knew what must come next. He readied his blade, preparing to release her to the afterlife. But he couldn't force himself to make the cut. Not after all he had poured into this girl. Not after failing her so. Thus, he laid down his weapon and promised to live his remaining days in penance and regret. Oh, how our good intentions cloud even the most prescient vision. Having
He didn't
thrown away
finish
his
her?
name, his blade, and his path, he set out back into the world. But this time, swearing no one would suffer from his tutelage again.
You know what that remind me of? That remind me of Ghost of Tsushima, when the archer teacher taught his student how to use the bow. And then she went rogue and then started teaching the Mongols how to use the archery techniques.
Time passed, and the swordsman found himself atop a different mountain, where he learned he had a knack for fishing. Suited him just fine. Bass for breakfast, salmon for supper, and naps in between. Yep, it suited him just fine. It was the quiet, healing life of a hermit. Sometimes, when he needed supplies, he would go down to the village and train the locals in a little sword work. That made his coin purse jingle again. But this peace wasn't to last for the swordsman. He discovered his top disciple was back to her wicked ways, and, sword in hand, he vowed to conclude her story for good.
Alright, so he didn't
Was
kill
his
her.
true purpose for traveling with the crew. Though the young captain never suspected the little Harvan fisherman.
Because at the end there, it seemed like he didn't kill her, that he couldn't bring himself to. But he thought he like weakened her enough because she only had one working hand. From what it sounds like, because he said the one hand went limp. So he couldn't pull himself to do the finishing blow.
The former disciple's latest victim had been a simple man from a remote mountain area, cut down, somehow without the use of her sword. A real shame that. One more innocent life lost before its time. The swordsman asked the crew to make haste to the village. When he saw the murdered man's corpse, such was the carnage that he could barely keep from averting his eyes. It was his weakness, his cowardice, that cost this poor man's life. But this time, instead of wallowing in pity, he would don his white uniform of old and atone. He called it his burial garb, and it represented his fearlessness on the battlefield. If he were dressed to meet death face to face, what more could his foes do to intimidate him? Of course, his crewmates tried to reason with him, concerned he might throw his life away to make up for the wrongdoing of another. But the
I hope-
Lord Master was determined.
Hope he goes
had
through
vowed
with his
stop
to
his
kill
favorite
her.
disciple,
And he's not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna let you
whatever
live.
So, when finally the moment of reckoning had come, the Master gripped his blade, ready to strike down his favored pupil. Before he could do the deed, however, his resolve crumbled. His emotions were too strong, dulling his senses and causing him to lose the match. The Master's former youngest disciple, with his two newest pupils watching from the sidelines, rushed to aid him. Ironically, it was the youngest disciple who struck down the fiend in place of the Master. The swordsman was lost in grief, but his newfound champion told him this was for the best. After all, such an old life deserved the rest of its days to be spent in peace.
Alright, so at least she didn't live another day to cause. Like, I wonder if she could have changed, but maybe he thought so too when he spared her. But it kind of sucks that his student had to finish what he started.
After joining up with the crew, I've had some helter-skelter days, let me tell you. So when we arrived in Zega Grande, I knew I needed to get myself some fishing done. Reset the old noggin. Found a nice quiet pond and dropped my line. Bless me taters. Must have been hours past with no bite. Finally, I decided to pull up my rod and check if the bait was still hardy. But there weren't no baits, no hook, and no fish. Only a lonely little bobber remained on the line. Right, well, what about me traps? I was halfway through the search when I realized, blast, I left them in the lodge. What a day, what a day. But it was too late in the noon to go back for them, and I had other business to attend to, like getting back to the pond and staring out at the clear water. In that moment of stillness, the fishies swam out of their hiding spots. There were big ones and little ones, and the whole school of them reminded me of my teaching days. Each of my disciples was unique in their own right. Had me some slow learners and some fast ones, some goody two-shoes and some real punks. I learned me some good lessons from those kids. My top student, Grace, never wavered in her particular sense of justice, and her commitment to her training was ironclad. What a waste. Rains, my youngest pupil, lost his way for decades after leaving my tutelage, but he ended up killing Grace in my stead. He was selfless, thinking only of his master. They say the master extracts potential from the student, but I fear I've ruined more young lives than I've helped. Makes a fisherman wonder how they all would have turned out had he just kept well enough to himself. I turned Grace into a monster. Not a day goes by I don't regret honing her skills. Unfortunately, she had the gift and the gumption to go far, and I exhausted all my knowledge on her. If only I had focused more on the why of my teachings rather than the what. Huh? I swore I felt a nibble at my rod, but when I pulled it up, there was nothing to be found. That's when I remembered I still hadn't hooked or baited the line. That was odd. I was getting antsy. Maybe it was because I forgot the traps, but I couldn't relax just sitting there anymore. I decided to pack up and head back into town. You see, the mind is like a creek. You want to keep it healthy. You gotta keep the waters from stagnating. But churn them too much, and you risk losing all your fish. I decided to head to Sierra's shack and replace some fishing gear, hopefully restoring my brain pond in the process. But just as I was dipping my toes into the placid waters of the lures and bait, I heard a rustle from behind. And to my surprise, they were my crewmates, picking up a package. Said they were bored at the inn and asked if they could come fishing with me. Youngsters so bored they wanted to go fishing? First time for everything, huh? While I was hammering out the finer points of fly casting with the captain, Sierra Carte piped up. Said she'd come across a pretty tasty rumor.
Yep, apparently there's a legendary fisherman in the skydom that people have started calling the Fisher God.
I'd heard rumors like this one before, and they always stank like fish guts. Catching 10 fish with one cast, netting a whole consortium of crabs. By yourself? Gah! If I had a fin for every story like this, I'd be a pretty scary sea monster by now. Then again, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't intrigued. There's a scale of truth to every story, so there must be a reason they call this person the Fisher God. Guess you might say my interest was piqued. Because if this fella were half as good as me, he'd make a mighty fine rival. And maybe that's just what I needed.
Well, Grandpa needed a challenge. And fishing's not that bad. I don't know why he's like, oh, the youngsters want. I mean, if you just have some nice music, some AirPods, and then just sit there, chillax with feeling the wind, the nature, and the stinky smell, and then make sure it then brings you back to the memories of you first time you went fishing and you had to take you had to use the restroom, and you went to the bush to take a dump. Oh, and you had no toilet paper, so you had to use the leaves, only to find out when you got home that's poison ivy, and now you have a rash on your ass, and now you gotta take an oatmeal bath. Yep, that definitely happened. After that, I was like, yeah, I'm never going fishing again. I should really try again someday. But to be fair, they just randomly took me fishing. I didn't know we were going fishing and that there's no bathroom. I was like, what, 8 years old? So yeah.
Alright, see you.
Oh well, with that, I'll call it a video. I'm sorry there's no volume halfway. I messed up big time. Hopefully my dialogue is still there. If not, I'm just gonna mash all these 3 episodes together with no audio and just call it one episode. Anyways, thanks for watching. Love you guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.